Let me tell you something before we go any further. What happened to you was not random. The way certain people pushed you away, the way they slowly made you feel like you were too much, or not enough, or somehow out of place in your own skin. That was not just coincidence. There was a reason behind it, even if nobody ever said it out loud. Something in your heart already knows this. You may have ignored it, doubted it, or tried to move on from it, but a part of you still remembers how deeply it affected you. Today, we are going to bring clarity to that feeling, not to reopen old pain, but to help you finally understand what was really going on beneath the surface. Take a moment and settle yourself. You might feel a lot coming up as you hear this, and that is okay. You don't need to force anything away. Just allow yourself to listen and reflect, because what you went through left a mark, and it deserves understanding, not confusion. There was a time when you started feeling pushed out or misunderstood. Maybe it happened slowly. At first, it may have felt small, little comments, subtle changes in behavior, or moments where you felt less included. But over time, it built into something heavier. You may have started questioning yourself. Am I too sensitive? Am I asking for too much? Did I do something wrong? But here is something important you need to hear clearly. You were not the problem. What made you different was your awareness. You have a natural ability to notice things others try to hide. You can sense when something is not genuine. You can feel when words do not match actions. And instead of being appreciated for that, it made some people uncomfortable, because your clarity reflected things they did not want to face about themselves or the situation. Over time, instead of meeting you with honesty, some people tried to make you doubt yourself. They made you feel like you needed them more than they needed you. They slowly chipped away at your confidence. They questioned your choices, downplayed your efforts, and made your strengths feel like flaws. And because you have a kind and open heart, you tried to understand, to adjust, to make things work. But in doing that, you started carrying weight that was never truly yours. You started believing maybe you were the issue. Maybe you were asking for too much. Maybe you were difficult. But that was never the truth. What was really happening is that your strength was beginning to show. Even if you didn't fully see it at the time, you were growing into someone more confident, more self-aware, more independent. And not everyone around you was prepared for that version of you. Some people are only comfortable when they feel they can influence or control how others see themselves. When that control starts slipping, they react in different ways, sometimes by pulling away, sometimes by creating distance, and sometimes by making the other person question their worth. And that is what created the conflict you felt. Things eventually reached a breaking point. The situation you were in could not stay the same forever. Something had to shift. What felt like rejection or collapse in your life was actually a turning point, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. It may have looked like things were falling apart, but in reality, something was breaking open. Because when a situation is not built on honesty or balance, it cannot stay stable. And when you begin to step into your real self, without shrinking, without hiding, without trying to please everyone, that imbalance became even clearer. That is when things changed. And even though it may have felt like you were the one losing something, what was actually happening was redirection. You were being moved out of spaces where you had to question your worth just to belong. The truth underneath everything is simple, even if it took a painful journey to see it. You were not pushed away because you were wrong. You were pushed away because you were becoming someone who could no longer fit into a limited or controlling version of connection. You were growing. You were changing. You were stepping into a version of yourself that is more aware, more grounded, and more powerful than before. And not everyone knew how to handle that. But that does not make your growth a mistake. It makes it real. What once felt like loss is slowly revealing itself as protection and redirection. And as painful as it was, it also marked the beginning of you coming back to yourself, stronger, clearer, and no longer willing to shrink just to be accepted. You are not going backward. You are moving forward, even if it took something breaking to see the path more clearly. Some people become so used to staying in the same place that they start to believe it is the only safe way to live. They build their identity around comfort, routine, and predictability. So when they come across someone who is changing, growing, and pushing beyond old limits, it creates discomfort in them. Not because that person is doing anything wrong, but because it highlights what they are avoiding in themselves. Growth has a way of acting like a mirror. It reflects back what others are not willing to face. And for some, that reflection is difficult to sit with. Instead of asking themselves why they feel stuck or threatened, they shift the discomfort outward. They start labeling the person who is growing as too much, difficult, arrogant, or wrong. It becomes easier to create a story about you being the problem than to admit they are not moving forward in their own life. This kind of reaction is not really about you. It is about what your presence brings out in them. When someone is committed to staying the same, even silent growth in another person can feel uncomfortable. And sometimes, instead of supporting it or understanding it, they resist it. They distance themselves. They criticize. They misunderstand intentions. All of it comes from within them, not from anything you did. At some point, there comes a situation where separation happens. It may feel sudden, painful, or unfair, but often, there is a deeper layer to it. On some level, you may have already been outgrowing that space long before anything ended. A part of you was already shifting, already evolving, already sensing that you could not remain the same person in the same environment forever. Many people try to hold on to situations longer than they should, even when something inside them is already changing. There is comfort in the familiar, even when it no longer fits. But life has a way of pushing things forward when we are not able to do it ourselves. Sometimes the ending you experience is not just something happening to you, it is something aligning with where you were already heading internally. It is important to understand that replaying the past and trying to figure out exactly what you did wrong will not always give you the clarity you are searching for. In many cases, the situation was not about your behavior being insufficient or incorrect. It was about fear, insecurity, and resistance on the other side. And no version of you being smaller, quieter, or different would have completely changed that outcome. Not everything that ends does so because someone failed. Sometimes it ends because growth is asking you to move in a new direction. After experiences like this, something inside a person often begins to shift. Even if it starts quietly, there is a slow rebuilding of inner strength. You start to see things more clearly. You begin to recognize your own value outside of how others responded to you. There is a kind of inner fire that starts to return, even if it was dimmed for a while. That fire is your drive, your passion, your ability to move forward again. It is the part of you that refuses to stay stuck in disappointment. And over time, that energy grows stronger. The very things that once made others uncomfortable about you, your honesty, your depth, your intensity, become the same things that push you forward into new spaces and new opportunities. There is also a deeper realization that often comes with time. It feels like an inner awakening where you begin to understand yourself in a new way. You stop defining your worth through rejection or misunderstanding. You stop carrying the weight of other people's projections. Instead, you start returning to who you were before all of it made you question yourself. This process is not always quick or easy. It can come with reflection, grief, and moments of doubt, but it also brings clarity. And with clarity comes freedom, the ability to move forward without constantly looking back for answers that were never meant to define you in the first place. In the end, what matters most is not how others misunderstood your growth, but how you continue to grow anyway. There is a strong water sign energy around this reading, showing someone who feels things very deeply and has strong intuition. This is a person who has been carrying emotional pain for a long time, not just from what recently happened, but also from older wounds. For some of you, this situation has brought back memories of rejection, being left out, or feeling like you were never fully accepted for who you are. Spirit is showing that this is the final part of an old cycle in your life. That old emotional pattern is coming to an end, but this ending is not gentle or quiet. It feels intense, emotional, and even painful because deep healing often comes with discomfort. Old wounds do not leave easily. They rise up one last time before they finally release. After this, a new beginning is forming. There is a strong message of new opportunities opening in your material and physical life. This could be a new job, a new path, a new person, or a new environment that brings stability and growth. It comes right after a period of emotional awakening, which shows that what you went through was not without purpose. It was clearing your life so something better could enter. You were being guided away from something that was not aligned with you. Even though it may have felt painful, confusing, or unfair, it created space for something real to come in. Something that is more stable and more in tune with who you are becoming. There is also a feeling of certain initials or signs connected to this new opportunity or person. For some, it may feel connected to the letters R or AB. This is not something to obsess over, but rather something to notice if it shows up in your life. There is also strong earthy energy here, especially related to Taurus or Capricorn. This represents stability, grounding, and something solid after a long emotional storm. At the same time, there is still emotional pain that needs attention. The heart is still carrying sadness, disappointment, and confusion from what happened. This is not something to ignore or push away. Healing cannot happen if the emotions are buried. They need to be felt, expressed, and released in a healthy way. You may have been trying to stay strong by telling yourself that everything is fine, or by focusing only on the lessons and reasons behind what happened. And while that strength has helped you survive, there is still a part of you that is hurting. A part of you that truly cared. A part of you that did not want things to end the way they did. It is important to allow yourself to acknowledge that pain. It is okay to say that it hurt. It is okay to feel sadness for what was lost. This does not make you weak. It simply means you experienced something meaningful. And anything meaningful can leave an emotional impact. You are allowed to grieve what ended, even while you slowly move toward what is coming next. Both emotions can exist at the same time. Healing does not require you to rush or pretend. After this emotional release, a sense of hope begins to return. There is a feeling of renewal, as if a heavy storm is finally passing. Light begins to enter your life again, slowly but surely. This is a reminder that you are not stuck in this moment forever. Something better is being prepared for you, even if you cannot see it clearly yet. You are being guided and supported through this transition. Life is already arranging new paths and new possibilities that are meant for you. There is also a strong energy of Aquarius connected to what is ahead. This represents something different from your past experiences. It may not look like what you expected, but it will feel more freeing and aligned with your growth. It will reflect a newer version of you, not the one who went through the pain, but the one who has learned and evolved from it. You are stepping into a new version of yourself right now. It feels like your awareness is expanding, like your vision is becoming clearer, and like you are starting to understand things you could not fully see before. There is a deeper knowing growing inside you, and what is coming into your life will match that growth. You are not the same person you were before, and that change is important. Something inside you has shifted, and now life is beginning to reflect that shift back to you. What you have been going through was not random. It was a long cycle of experiences that shaped you, tested you, and taught you lessons about love, trust, value, and strength. You made it through situations that once felt heavy and confusing, but you are still here. You did not break. You did not disappear. You completed something important, even if it did not feel like success at the time. Now you are entering a phase where everything you learned is starting to make sense. The pain, the endings, and the challenges were building something stronger in you. You are now reaching a point where that cycle is closing. It is not just about endings, but about completion. You have gathered experience, awareness, and inner strength that cannot be taken away from you. Even the difficult moments played a role in shaping who you are becoming. And now there is space opening in your life because that old chapter has finished its purpose. What was once painful is slowly turning into wisdom, and that wisdom is becoming the foundation for what comes next. This is also why some people could not stay in your story. At some level, they sensed your growth, even if they did not understand it. Instead of supporting it, some tried to limit it or dismiss it. Not everyone could handle the direction your life was moving in. Some chose silence when they should have spoken, and others chose distance when they should have shown support. In doing so, they revealed where they truly stood. Their actions showed you who could not walk with you into your next stage. And while that realization may have been painful, it also brought clarity. It showed you who was aligned with your growth, and who was not. Now things are shifting. The space that was cleared is not empty by accident. It is making room for new experiences, new connections, and people who are capable of understanding the real you. People who will not feel threatened by your growth, but inspired by it. People who will not pull away when you shine, but will stand with you and support you. The relationships coming toward you will feel different because they will be rooted in respect, honesty, and emotional maturity. There is alignment happening in ways you may not fully see yet, but you will feel it as things begin to fall into place naturally. So keep moving forward without turning back to what drained you. You do not need to explain yourself to those who were never willing to understand you. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone who failed to recognize it. Your path is already unfolding ahead of you. Trust that what is meant for you will not miss you. As you continue forward, stay open, stay grounded, and allow life to bring you what matches the person you have become. What is ahead is not a repeat of the past, but something new, something clearer, and something that finally feels right for you.